More then of that perspective from Moscow. We're joined now by our correspondent Nick Holdsworth. Nick, good morning. Russia then has long said its target in Syria is to focus on terrorist groups. It's already been bombing Idlib in the past few weeks. What more can you tell us about what the Russian military has been doing in that northwest part of Syria?
Earlier this week, Russian Air Force aircraft resumed bombing of targets in the province. Obviously, in the past, they've taken a very active role in supporting the Syrian forces. They've built up their naval forces in the Mediterranean off the coast of Syria. They've got 10 warships there, 2 submarines. It's a massive show of force. What we expect is for the Russians to push for a resolution to the Syrian civil war. 350,000 people dead over the last 7 years. The Russians have always taken a very thorough line against terrorism. This week, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said, "We have killed, we are killing, and we will kill terrorists." That's pretty uncompromising language. In the past, Russian President Vladimir Putin, speaking about another conflict, Chechnya, said, "We will find them, the terrorists, in the outhouse and smoke them out," although he used a slightly more firmer term for outhouse than that. So the Russians often speak hard and play hard. On the other hand, they've also been attempting to win hearts and minds in Syria. Russian domestic television here has been full of pictures of Russian military staff in Syria, meeting children, handing out food, patting kids on the head, all that sort of feel-good stuff that governments love to convey. So you've got a mixed approach. This summit is a crunch summit and is likely to decide the fate of Idlib province today.
And just briefly then, Nick, you mentioned that diplomatic track beginning today in Tehran. Now, give us a sense, are Moscow hoping to find some kind of deal to stave off what would be a massive humanitarian catastrophe there, or do we expect them to wholeheartedly support the regime in this upcoming assault?
The Russians have a very sophisticated foreign policy. They won't make war if they don't have to make war. They will if they need to. They don't want to see a massive humanitarian crisis. They don't want to see a massive refugee situation. They've got very complex relations with Turkey. They don't want to see tens, hundreds of thousands of people flooding into Turkey. They want to see stability in Syria. They also want to have a big foreign policy win. They would like to see this war resolved. They would like to see Assad fully in charge of his country again, and they'd like to see that done without massive bloodshed or a massive refugee crisis. So it all hinges on today's summit in Tehran and what comes out of that.
Indeed, and we'll be watching very closely. Nick Holdsworth for us there in Moscow. Thank you very much.